topic of property valuation in Cambodia, addressing the current gap. It's great to see a very good turnout. We're also very fortunate to have a very excellent lineup of experts on our panel, and of course our moderator David Marshall, who will be leading the discussion.
And especially thank you very much, our member from CVEA. My name is Kim Him, the president of the Cambodian Valuation and Estate Association, CVEA. Before I start to talk about the future, let me introduce you what is CVEA. CVEA was founded by the Ministry of Economy and Finance in 2008. And at the first time we are under the ministry. And the first president of the CVEA is Mr. Samona, Realestate. The second president also Mr. Samona. And the third president of CVEA is also is Mr. JK of CVL. And I am the number 4, the president, the 4th president. And so what is the job of the CVEA? CVEA is joined by many real estate company. Till now, there are 134 registered real estate company, licensed real estate company. We have 134 company, and 94 of them are our members. So we can see almost 70% of the real estate company in Cambodia are our members. What we want to do? We want to get one voice. You know, Cambodian people, Cambodian company, everyone very clever, everyone very strong. But the problem is we cannot work as a team. So my job as the president and some of my friends here, we want to combine together. We want to get a one voice, one team, a united team. It will not make you surprised that land in Phnom Penh, 7 or 80% of them managed by our member. So if any investor want to come and invest in Cambodia, they want to buy big land or big project, no need to go anywhere, just come to CVEA. But the problem is, I know and keep. He know, he keep. And most of know and just keep, we don't share. It's a problem. But from the time I become the president, we are open. We call open heart. I tell you what I know, you tell me what I know. So now a united team of CVEA, we work together. Any investor who need to buy property, who need to do real estate, come to us. We are the one-stop service for real estate and construction. And for the future, because the CVEA, we have 2 kinds of business. We have the property valuation and real estate service. For the real estate service, we have to talk with some of the outstanding organizations in our city. We have last few months, I traveled to Malaysia and Singapore. We meet with the UTM, University of Technology in Malay. We have signed a MOU with the IEA. IEA Institute of Estate Agent in Singapore. And also we have to meet my best friend, Salim. We have a big dream. It's a dream that RICS is a handsome man. And CVEA is the pretty girl. So why don't you get married? We have to get married. RICS look at CVEA is a pretty girl. And we say, okay, we also need you, you need me. So okay, let's start to do something. So last 2 months, I and my friend went to visit him in Singapore. We plan, we do something. If not, the real estate industry will have problem in the future. You know how some people ask me how I do the valuation. I say how? And then they ask me where I learn the valuation. I say I learn from my friend. And then they ask me where your friends learn from. I say my friends learn from the other friends. So we learn from each other by the practice. How about the school? No school. Training? No training. Just some short course, 1 or 2 days for training or study experience. So we have a dream, we have a big dream. We want to bring the real estate industry in Cambodia into the next level by proper training from world-class organization. Who? RICS. So from the trip here, we hope that we will sign the MOU with each other very soon, so that in the future, anyone who do real estate must get the training and certificate. All banks who do in the risk department or any department related to the property, they must study and get the certificate. Get from where? CVEA. Because CVEA is funded by Ministry of Economic Finance, and we are the right hand of them. So in the future, CVEA will play a more important role for the real estate development. I think this is all for my speech now, and I'm waiting for the question from you anytime. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. Allow me to turn it over to Salim, who will discuss how RICS can assist to support training based on your institution.
Hi, this is Salim. First of all, thank you for BritCham for inviting me here. It's my third time in Phnom Penh, and having been traveling around Southeast Asia, Phnom Penh reminds me of a bit of my childhood when I grew up. It's a very nice, it's modern, but it reminds you of our family, of green places, climbing trees, and so on. So it's one of my favorite places. So do invite me more and more here. Okay, so my role here is very simple. In RICS, I look at standards development. I look at professional development. I look at professional recognition. So RICS is, if some of you may know, is about 150 years old. In 2018, we'll be 150 years old. Yes, correct. And we exist by Royal Charter. And our mandate is essentially to encourage ethical practice, standards, objectivity, transparency among professionals. As you saw in the video, 70% of world wealth is in property. So if the property professional, whatever part of the property life cycle they're in, is not ethical, is not of high standards, is not delivering services for the benefit of the client, then you have a problem in terms of realizing true wealth. And when you have a problem in realizing true wealth, then the country is not able to recognize its own wealth among nations. So it's very important. The less transparent you are, the less ethical the practice, the higher the risk. The higher the risk, the lower the value of assets. The lower the value of assets, the lower the wealth. Simple formula. Yeah. So that's what RICS does. And one of my mission is in order to reach that level of professional practice, is to conduct training and to encourage upskilling, to help industries or firms to build capacity of the right expertise in order to deliver high quality service for the benefit of the layperson, for example. So RICS in Singapore is the HQ for Southeast Asia, and we cover 10 countries, more or less about 11 if you look at East Timor. So and we're busiest in Singapore, Malaysia, and Indonesia at the moment, because these are the countries in which a lot of development work, infrastructure work, property work is happening, and a lot of professionals are joining us. We have 20,000 members in Asia, about 5,000 members in Southeast Asia, and globally we have 120,000 professionals who are members of RICS. So we cover a very big group of people, and they contribute positively to their own jobs and to their companies and the economies, and we hope to support them and you to move forward in your profession, in your expertise.
A perspective from a financier, and maybe a more of a macroeconomic perspective. Now, I think that we all understand we now understand the importance of valuations, particularly after the global financial crisis. And a large portion of why the global financial crisis happened was due to the fact that the escalating valuations of property and therefore the lending on it. And if you look at a country like Cambodia, the majority of lending is all based on about property valuations, because most banks will not lend to a company without the security of having the property. And so the perspective from the financial industry is that ensuring that we have the most stable or the most reasonable estimates of that piece of property in the for sale position, so we can, if that particular borrower defaults, we have recourse to recover our money. Now that's basic banking, right? We have security to fall back on to ensure that we have that. So what happens is that borrowers want more money. We know that if you want to borrow money and you've got a land title that's worth $100, if you can get it to $110, then you might be able to borrow a little bit more. And one of the pitfalls in Cambodia that I've seen is that there could potentially be some collusion with valuers in assessing the value of the property, inflating the value, and then the banks obviously then lending more money on it. So obviously that causes issues if there was a position, if there was an issue in the economy where there was a slowdown and more defaults happened and we had to have recourses, but the valuations were not of a quality that ensures that the banks can recover their funds. Now obviously that's incredibly important because we have a fiduciary duty, we have, as guardians of your deposits, to ensure that our depositors are as secure as possible. So we have to minimize as many losses as we can, and by doing that, ensuring the valuations are there. So I just wanted to sort of give you a high-level overview of, from a banker's perspective, of the importance of valuations from our perspective. Maybe I could open up a couple of questions to you guys first, and then we'll bring up Ross. You mentioned the importance, obviously, of ethical practices and transparency issues. I've just spoken to somewhere about these types of issues in Cambodia. Can you tell us how you, RICS, might have dealt with these issues in trying to build up professionalism in other geographies like Cambodia?
Well, first of all, the code of practice that we have is a red book. It's a valuation standards that is about 40 years old, and since then we have established work with associations in International Valuation Standards Coalition (IVSC), which is now the overarching body in terms of valuation, and a red book is kind of like an interpretation of that overarching statement and the code of practice, how you should deliver valuation and so on and so forth. It's not methodology. We don't talk about methodology. It's about code of practice. So, but there are certain instances where in a given country or in a given situation that you can't apply the red book valuation code of practice. So we have departures. And the departures state, you have to state the departures that I can't practice this because so and so, because such situations happen. And you're clear about it. You make the statement within the report. And as long as you do that, then there is always leeway. Granted that different countries have different levels of maturity in terms of valuation practice. You've got challenges, and we recognize those challenges. But as long as you try and you work towards a standard, and you recognize that you need departures and you state those departures and you're clear about them, then you are complying within the realm of reason.
When you certify people or get them the certificates, do you have a mechanism to monitor, if you will, best practice? So if a person does something wrong on evaluation and it's found, can they have that certification removed? And the one example I'll give you is, for example, in finance, you can get your chartered financial planning software. If you do something unethical, you get that removed from you.
Yes, we do. We're one of the biggest self-regulated associations in the world. So we have a regulation team which is based in Singapore for Asia Pacific, and we do audits. We have a evaluation reviewer, an auditor, who looks at firms and visit them and look at their books if there is something that is flagged that is a concern. What we don't do is we don't do aggressive inspection. Typically what happens is that a case is raised in a newspaper or someone makes a complaint and we investigate those complaints. And that's individual level. Sometimes firms would prefer to be regulated by RICS. So they give information about their balance sheet, their work, and so on and so forth. So if you're happy with what they've presented to us, then they join as a regulated firm, and then they can say that they are firms which are being audited by RICS and have a higher level of professional practice, essentially.
Thanks very much. King, do you think this is something that the CVEA would consider in terms of installing inside your organization and with your members?
I have to say yes. It must be. We have to do it. It's just a matter of the time. It takes time for us because RICS was originally from UK and it come to Singapore, Malay, and if you check the economic of Malay, Singapore, Cambodia are in ASEAN, but the economic is too different. I always say Cambodia we can be 20 years below Malay or 30, 40 years below Singapore. So what can be done in Malay, Singapore now can apply to Cambodia, but we need to check and edit something.
There are no laws at the moment governing these types of accreditations and designations, are there?
Until now, in Cambodia, we still don't have the law of real estate yet. But we have very soon, I think. Maybe because I meet the lawmaker, we talk to them, they say, now they just finished the law for construction. And the law for real estate is under discussion. Maybe before the election, before 2018, we will have the law. But you should know that before the law become effective, it takes time. They have to pass from lawmaker to the Ministry Council, to the Senate, and to the National Assembly, and before the king signs, so it takes time. But at least we know that we have the lawmaker is doing the law for real estate.
Now, have you seen the law? Have you seen a copy of it? Or
Not yet.
So
but I know the one who made the law.
Yeah, so I think we all do. But do you know if it addresses specifically around professionalism and ethics in valuations?
By what I talked to him, he said he's doing something. He need to get the content, and maybe he need to check by the real estate law of some neighbor country. He tell me we cannot get the law from UK or US to apply into Cambodia. It's not possible because we are too different. Maybe we can be 100 years different from UK and US. So the best law that we should adapt may be possible that Malay and Singapore. We just learn something and then add it into our own style. I say possible, and in 2 or 3 years we can get it.
Maybe a question to Salim around, again, the valuers. We know that bigger organizations are insured. Their valuations are insured. Can you talk to us about why that insurance is important and what does it do?
Professional insurance, indemnity insurance, PII, is a prerequisite to be for a valuer. Essentially, a valuer, when he signs off, or he or she signs off a valuation figure, it comes with it a lot of research, a lot of data, a fair bit of assumptions based on the current situation of the property or the asset. So it's not, to be honest, forgive me valuers if I do say it wrongly, it's not science, it's an art. Valuation is pretty much an art. And two different people can have very different valuation figures. But as long as they justify their valuation figures, and it's factual, there is no way for anyone to say which is right, which is wrong. And then the third one is emotional valuation, which is what the property owner would have. So all these things causes risks for the valuer to be questioned in court or to be sued. And it can be quite an expensive process for the valuer to defend himself or herself in court. So professional indemnity insurance is a key thing to protect the valuer when it comes to cases where they are questioned for the valuation and be brought to court. And typically many valuers who are RSS members find being an RSS member reduces the premium quite aggressively because they are already vetted by RSS. No valuer practices without professional indemnity insurance. It's just very risky and very dangerous as well.
Can you maybe just touch on maybe an example if I'm an investor in an evaluation, relying on an evaluation to make that investment? Have you heard of any cases of where these types of lawsuits have come into play?
It's not my expertise, so I will not go into that. But it has, over time, many years. Obviously, there are quite clear cases in UK in common law about such misvaluation and being brought to court for the valuation itself. And there have been many cases where valuers lose the case because they did not keep proper information, proper record keeping. They did not clearly explain why they put the valuation there. And it could be an error, of negligence in one part or the other. In particular cases, I'm not the right person to say it, but if you look at case laws in UK and Singapore, in anywhere part of the world, you'll easily find such issues pop up.
From a CVEA perspective, do you see any sort of, are the valuers at CVEA, are they members working towards getting insurance? I'm not sure how many of them might have insurance for valuations.
It depends. My company, because even I'm the president of the association, but I also have my own company. We started the valuation in 2010. At that time, we don't know what is the professional indemnity insurance. We don't know and we don't care. But because my company, we work with the Chinese or Taiwanese Vietnamese bank, they don't require the indemnity insurance. But later on, 2012 or 2013, few years ago, we apply our service to bank from Malay. And then they ask us, do your company you have the indemnity insurance? I said, no, I don't have. Where can I buy? They said, okay, you go to Forte Insurance, you can get it. That is just a business. So we talk to the Forte, we want to buy the insurance. They say, okay, how much you want to pay? I say, the less the better. So they have the price. Okay, if you want to get the insurance less than 500,000, you need to pay 5,000-6,000 per year. Or if you get from $500,000 to $1 million, you need to pay example like 7,000-8,000 per year. What do we benefit? Of course, it depends on the buyer. Insurance is just insurance, but depends on the buyer, the people who do the job. Some bank, here now I talk to a bank from Taiwan and Vietnam, they say, I don't care the insurance, I just care about your company. I say the company. If you can manage your staff, do the work well, if you can do the job professionally, the insurance will be nothing. It's something like you drive a car and you buy insurance for your car. No insurance, you drive something like 60 km per hour. But when you buy insurance, you drive up to 120. What happened? If there is an accident, insurance cannot help you anything. Valuation can be similar. Sorry to some of the insurance company people here, but insurance is just insurance. The bank trusts the company, not the people. But still, because of the perfect competition, because of the perfect competition, you need to get something like it's a complementary. Many years ago, we do without insurance, but now we just tell the bank, like, bank, okay, my friend, now we have the insurance, you use us, you feel safe, we have the insurance. And not sure if the bank understand what is the professional indemnity insurance.
And now they understand a little bit more, and some at the moment. So nobody at the moment, other than maybe some of the international ones, currently have indemnity insurance. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Now I found out more members of our CVEA, they have the insurance.
They do.
They do now. It's something like it's a requirement from the bank. Most of bank from Malay they require it, but the bank from Taiwan, Vietnam, they still keep the same. Because my company, I do the Realestate. Bank from Taiwan, Vietnam, they never ask me for the insurance. Only the bank from Malay or some other country.
Do you know if, just to Salim, do you know if in Singapore whether or not banks are required by law to look for valuers that have insurance?
Yes, and it depends on the regulatory framework of the country itself. Like in Malaysia, example, they have board of valuers. So it is governed by an act in the Malaysian Parliament, and the legislation requires PII, professional indemnity, especially for Singapore as well. So for countries like Taiwan, for example, they don't have such a regulatory regime. They're trying to right now. In fact, they're talking to quite a number of bodies around the world to establish something like that. So it's not a one template fits all. It's different. Different countries have different ways of doing it. But as a overall statement, if you practice as a valuer and you're valuing a $10 million property and you get it wrong, your liability is quite extensive. So it is up to you to decide whether or not you feel the indemnity insurance is worth it or not. So if you are not compelled to have it. If you're compelled to have it, then there's no question, there's no argument. It's always good to have insurance regardless of whatever you do in life. So that's my statement.
Okay, thank you very much. You mentioned him earlier on that the people were not working as a team. There was not one voice, and the association was somewhat of a response to that. I would argue as well, possibly, that the government is also possibly not one voice in many ways in the way in which it operates. Do you think that the government should establish a government body oversight to deal with some of the issues in real estate and potentially valuations and some of the other issues, other than just the law itself?
When we talk about the government, I would ask you about who. The government is a noun, is a verb, but who will do the job? They say some big boss, but who? I tell you, the real estate managed by the Ministry of Economic Finance, and it's under the General Department of Real Estate and Industry. You have to know how many people work in that General Department. How many people can work for the real estate construction? I say less than 10. And when we talk about real estate, we talk about the condo. How many condo units in Cambodia? 1,000. How many housing development? We call Borai in Phnom Penh, more than 100. And a lot of construction. But the government, they have the people around 10, less than 20 people working. So how they manage? It's impossible for them. So CVEA is because CVEA is the right hand for them. Most of the job they ask us to do for them, and we are happy to have them because they was our father and mother. We was born from them. So the government established some body or some unit to manage or do something in the real estate. I say no need, because they don't have enough human resources. They don't need to pay money. They just use our CVEA. Every time when some of the top government officials in the Ministry of Economic Finance, they have the international guests come here for update about real estate, about condo, about valuation. They don't need to ask the people. They just call to me. I need 2 people, 3 people come here to answer some question from other guy from US and UK. So I'll come me and my friend go there with them, and then we talk. Sometimes CVEA represent the ministry to do the job for the government. And lucky that they don't need to pay us, but we pay tax to them.
So you're paying then? All right. Look, maybe we could bring up Ross. Are you okay to come on?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. And we'll open some questions to the floor. I'll stand, I guess.
No, there's another chair here.
There's another chair.
You can sit down.
All right. And go from there. So anyone have a question? Please.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
First question, $5.
Mine would be $10.
Good afternoon, my name is Salim. I'm from Key Real Estate and also the Vice President for Cambodian Valuation Estate Agent Association. I have one thing to share and one question to Salim and same as Ross. According to our CVEA meeting talking about the new regulation from Ministry of Economy and Finance, I found that the new regulation, but it's not approved yet. They put one of the requirements for being a valuer, you need to have professional indemnity insurance. This is just for your information. And my question to Salim and Ross is that in Cambodia, valuation standard and practice are different among the local companies and international companies like Knight Frank, CBRE, you, I think it's like we are practicing massive standard in the country. And how can we bring the standard into Cambodia and everyone wear the same standard? Thank you.
So we'll turn to Ross. Maybe you can.
It's certainly not going to be a quick process. I think one of the things that we find here that is the lack, the skills gap. So in terms of the educational infrastructure, so there are actually no real estate related degrees or qualifications here on offer at the moment in Cambodia. So that's an issue in terms of being able to value in accordance with the international valuation standards. I mean, Knight Frank as a company is a UK-based company. We have a policy where we have to have PII, professional indemnity insurance, and also as a RICS member myself, we have to have PII. So as I said, it will be a slow process, but I know that RICS was supposed to have a training session tomorrow, but unfortunately that's been cancelled. But with more and more of these training sessions, and also in terms of exchanging knowledge between ourselves and through the CVEA, I think that's the way forward, and better educational system.
So I want to just touch on that because I know there's an educator or a couple of educators in the room here. Why is there no valuation courses in the universities? And here's a question maybe to RICS as well: is what can you facilitate working with the university or an educational institution to bring qualifications into search courses with universities?
First of all, to address the disparity is a function of the demand of valuation in a given country. For Ross, the Knight Frank, they will operate globally. So they have a certain standard operating way of working, and they align globally to standards that are Red Book, IBSC, and so on and so forth. And Cambodia being a young country in terms of modernization at the moment, so there will always be gaps. CVEA and bodies like CVEA in Cambodia has to play an important part in harmonizing the gap and bringing local valuers and practitioners to adopt international standards. It will take time, obviously, and time is needed, and we will not deny that. But as long as effort is being done, you will see a harmonizing of the disparity sooner or later. In Singapore, in Malaysia, Indonesia, and somewhere else, so it's been said that there's never been like in a situation where everyone will operate the same way in the same standards. It has to take time, and time will be the panacea, as I say. In terms of accrediting degrees, obviously the first gap that Ross identified is a key one. Knowledge and training and learning and education is the one way to solve the gap of expertise. And RCS tries to encourage degrees universities to do degrees, to launch degrees, which is in line with competence that RCS finds as best practice. So we visit the universities in Malaysia, for example. We have about 10 universities that we accredit degrees in, and the degrees is in valuation, QS, and what have you. And how we do it is that we look at the course curriculum itself, and we talk to the lecturers and understand the delivery, and we look at this gap, and then we advise the universities where they should, where they can improve or adjust their content so that when these students pass out of the university, they can immediately apply for RCS membership. But of course, it will take 2 years for them to get the experience to write the case studies and so on. But at least on level 1, which is knowledge for us, they've already gotten that done, and now it's doing and advising. So in level 2, level 3. So and in Cambodia, if there are opportunities which we can work with local universities, and they're interested in doing valuation degrees, we'd be happy to sit with them, to talk to them, and you know, provide advisory, be an advisor to them, and so on. And if it's not a quick process, to be honest, it takes months to sit down to look through content, and our board of education members will visit, and so on and so forth. But it's doable, it's possible, and if there is appetite, we'll support it.
Okay, yeah, I'm just going to add quickly as well. In terms of promoting real estate as a profession itself, so a lot of the, when we're recruiting, the people that we're interviewing, they've gone to university and they're focusing on maybe finance, banking. What we really need to promote is real estate as a long-term professional career path, and then that creates demand for the real estate courses.
Let me say you something, my friendship, because from January this year we have a big plan, and for me, I do my presidency. We finish in December this year, but I have a 5-year plan for the CVEA. We have talked to 3 universities in Cambodia. 3 universities we have talked to them that we want them to do the faculty of real estate for bachelor degree or associate degree. They say yes, they're happy. It means, example, in the bachelor degree you have the 4-year course, and we have 30 or 50 subjects. Example, you study faculty bachelor of accounting. You study 50 subjects, but you need to remove 10 out and replace by the 10 subject of the real estate coming. The new faculty will be the bachelor degree for real estate or bachelor of valuation. And this kind of job, I have talked to the University of Technology in Malay. You know, we talk to RICS, we talk to IEA, we talk to the UTM for different purposes. UTM, University of Technology in Malay, is a 100-year university. They are happy to work with our university in Cambodia. So we are the bridge to connect the UTM in Malay and University in Cambodia, work together for a 2-year course for associate degree of real estate or valuation. We talk with IEA for a proper operation and the stand-up of CVEA. Because CVEA is similar to IEA in Singapore 30 years ago. So we need to get a formal stand-up. Now everyone can do valuation without certificate. Everyone can do real estate without certificate. But next year we will do something. I talked to the official at the Ministry of Economic and Finance. They say okay, they will support. So in order to get a standard of valuation for Cambodia, the method is time. And time is when you do it. I tell you, we start already. We started to do it now. We start to do from now. If you just say time but we don't start, if there is no start, the will never finish. We start now. It's time we started to work with the RICS. And RICS, we talk with them for training for manager. RICS is a handsome man, so it costs not cheap. So those who want to get the training for RICS, you have to pay more. And for the UTM, not for manager or CEO, but for student, for staff. If any student want to get a job in real estate company, they can come to the university, the faculty for this subject, and then they can get a job. So we can see from now till 3 or 5 years later, when there are more people get proper training of real estate valuation from school, when we have the faculty of real estate, when they have more people to get the bachelor associate degree, it's time we set up the standard of valuation in Cambodia. Not now, but next 3 or 5 years. Now it's just the time we start to do it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions?
Here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hello, my name is Stephen Evans from Phnom Penh Special Economics. I'm kind of new to Cambodia, so there's a lot I don't know. My question relates more to methodology, I'm afraid, than professional practice. And my understanding of valuation is really that it's a historical-based art as opposed to science. So that you look for a history of transactions and then build up an opinion whether the transaction or the valuation that you're looking at resembles some of those other transactions and then make a judgment call. Is there a central registry here in Cambodia of those transactions? Is there a government department where one could refer to what are the recent transactions, how much were they, that type of thing?
I think that's for you.
This is my question. How can I say yes or no?
What do you have?
No and yes, yes and no. Cambodia, first, before I answer your question, I need to give you some practice. Okay? By practice, land on Money Wong is something like 5,000 per square meter. But by law, it stay only 1,500 when we pay the transfer tax. So every transaction you need to pay the transfer tax. And at the General Department of Taxation on Rasin Boulevard near the bridge, right there we have one office. We call the transfer tax office. All transactions must go there, and then they have to pay the transfer tax. But make sure the transfer tax and the real transaction value is not the same. It's not the same. And in the property in downtown, the market price is more than the tax price. But in province, the tax price is more than the market price. It's a big problem. And the ministry, they used to ask our CVEA to help them to find out the real market price of the property in Phnom Penh and the province. 3 years ago, we talked to them. We can do it, but we need fund, we need money. So if the ministry want to get the market price of the property in Phnom Penh and province, CVEA can do it, but we need fund. The answer from this, they don't have fund. So no money, no job. So till now, that's what happened.
We, just from a banker's perspective, Stephen, we also tried to get data on that, and obviously it was very problematic. But one thing that I would ask to both maybe Knight Frank and Ian is that you guys could collectively provide data in an anonymous way, potentially to an aggregator that would produce that. Are you currently doing that now, or? I mean, you have your own data from your own sales and purchase, and so on and so forth. So why not get together and just do it yourselves under CVEA?
We would be more than happy to do that. So as an RICS member myself, and also Knight Frank wanting to drive forward professional standards in the market, we would be more than happy to be totally transparent. But one of the challenges we face is that other companies aren't necessarily open to do the same thing. So we do have our own internal database on transactions we're involved in, transactions we're aware of. We are more than happy to share that information, but it needs to be a two-way thing. So it's something that's not, other parties aren't necessarily ready to do that.
Yeah. Any comment on that?
This one we talk with our member, we talk with individual with the CVA member, like we send the real transaction with each other so that it can help to improve the quality of the valuation. But the concern is tax. Tax is a big problem for us now. I can tell you most of us, when we do the transaction, not many people pay the tax 100%. They pay some tax, not all. But if you sold out all the real transaction, so one day the tax will ask you where the money. Why don't you sell it? Why don't you pay tax to me? That's why some company they still keep silent. But individually, my company and some of my friend company, we sell the real transaction. But I hope that from time to time, because now we just work with each other. I become the president of CVA in September last year. It's only 7 months. So I need time to make this kind of culture. I call a united CVA can do everything. We need to open from heart from each other. We have each other and we share information. Possible that next year, next 2 years, when we all understand each other, I always say we are not competitors, we are friends and business partners. When this kind of culture, the same business are not competitors but partners. When they accept this new culture, we state information. I hope that time it will be better for the whole industry.
Thanks very much. Do we have some more questions from the audience? No?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Jim?
Jim?
Hello. When I looked at evaluations in the United States, I always saw a cost basis, some multiples of rents, and a comparison. Here it seems like they're all based on the comparable sales. So when I saw this event, I looked at it and said, gee whiz, what are some of the properties around my house advertised for? And I looked at, I used to live in San Francisco, so I said, gee whiz, what are the gross rents multipliers in San Francisco? And I found that the multiple in San Francisco is around 15 right now. The building next door to me was at 40. So the question is, are some of the valuations based on comparables considerably out of line compared to gross rents or rentals? And a follow-on question, I met an individual who has an apartment in BKK1, and he went down to negotiate his renewal of his lease, probably about a month or a month and a half ago. And he sat down at the manager's office and said, I'd like to know what it would take to renew for another year. He was quite surprised it dropped 35%. So if I look at a valuation of a property based on rents, I'd say his unit just dropped 35%. Would anybody want to comment on that?
Thanks. Anyone? Maybe look to Mr. Ross. No? But no, I mean, if you can try and comment. I mean, I know the income approach and the rest of it, so maybe you can comment on income approaches and maybe if you know of any comparable data to other regions like Singapore or China. I don't know if you have anything like that.
Yeah, for the income approach, I think there's probably one of the most inappropriate approaches for residential property itself, because it's more of an emotional-led purchase, because it's generally owner-occupier. It's more applicable for commercial buildings. When we do valuations, yes, we would look generally at a comparable income approach, also residual approach. We try to avoid the cost approach because under RICS standards, it's the method of last resort, which is actually, in terms of working in a market like Cambodia, being a frontier market, I know it's a well-used method of valuation. Rents are dropping, which is good. When I actually first moved here from Malaysia, I thought I'd be able to rent a nice condominium in a good location with good facilities, cheaper than what it was in KL. It was actually a lot more expensive, and that was largely due to the supply. There was the lack of supply here of good quality accommodation, and now because of all the development that's coming online within the next 2 to 3 years, rents are going down, which is it's a good thing for people that are renting, not necessarily a good thing for people that are owning. But we would apply a number of different methodologies, and I think, as Salim mentioned earlier, as long as you can show within your valuation report that you've followed a logical process, then that's what you have to base your valuation on. And it is an art, not a science. But as a professional, we're using both market data and our professional opinion. So that is what we base our valuation reports on.
Thanks, good answer. Any other questions that we have in the audience? Yes, we have one more.
Hello again. I don't have question. I just like to share some of the local practice on top of Ross' opinion. Actually, the evidence we get from the market is very difficult, and from one company to one company, we have different information and different way of data collection and also data keeping. for our reference and using in the methodologies. Like Jim mentioned, how are we taking only comparables as the main method in using in Cambodian practice? I can say yes, for my opinion, because we have to be logic as well, and if we use other methodology, it seems like not really reliable. We can use it as a check, like income method. If you ask a lot of valuers, they're not sure about the gross rental multiplier or the cap rate, how you generate it, and what is the step to generate it. And also, in order to use this method, you need information. A lot of time when we talk about the information, if you put rubbish in, it is rubbish result. So if the information is not reliable, you use it, you use something not reliable to judge on the way you arrive at the market value. And also one more method that you cannot use in Cambodia as well is the profit method. A lot of time when people ask me my personal view on the profit method, here we have different accounts, and that some companies they have two accounting system, and some company have three. This accounting is for borrowing money. This accounting is for avoiding tax. This accounting is for partners. This accounting is for actual one, something like this. So unless we do property valuation for the listed company, where we can have all the actual accounting information, because it is public company. So that's all my sharing. Thank you.
No, thank you very much. I think your points about transparency is actually very, very important on that. You know, when you are doing things like income approach, particularly for companies, it's actually very difficult because you're not going to have the financial statements and things to be able to assess the potential income that property can deliver over a period of time. Did anyone else want to make any comments on that, or?
Yeah, so I agree in terms of the profit methods. It's a problem here because you do have different sets of accounts. But again, what you then have to assess is the fair, maintainable trade. In terms of looking at, for example, one of the most common assets is a hotel that you'd use that method for. So you have to look at what the rates are in the market, what occupancy rates are. So it's a lot of market research, and we have our in-house market research team that constantly monitors that market. So you then again have to rely on your professional judgment in terms of making that assessment on fair maintainable trade. And then going back to capitalization rates or yields, it comprises three things, which is a risk-free rate of return. So we would normally base that on long-term dated government bonds, which you don't have here in Cambodia. So we use fixed deposit rates. And then there's a risk premium attached to real estate itself. And then an element of growth that a potential buyer will factor in. So we would look at things like that, and then on a regional basis as well. So although there's a lack of information in the market, you still have to make that professional judgment.
Just maybe, I think we need to wrap it up soon, no? It is 2 o'clock, but we have, yes, sorry.
Sorry, one last question. Yeah, I'm Salim from Maybank. I want to throw a question to Mr. Hill regarding about the local valuation company. I think for Maybank, we face the actual for the fake valuation that causes some trouble also. That's why we pause the threshold for between the local company and a professional valuation company for the real estate. So to bring the trust for local real estate company, we require the indemnity, professional indemnity, and that's quite hard for them also to get the higher level to a certain amount. And so I want to ask, beside the insurance professional, whether any other mechanism for the bank to go through CVEA or go to other some access to get the claim from CVEA or something. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Happy to know that you're from Maybank. Usually, my own experience, I do the valuation for the Chinese-speaking people, and based on the Chinese trust go first. I can give you some example. If you feed them enough to live, no one will kill you. But because I had experience with some bank from Malay, they have one report. They ask 3 or 5 companies to do the cross check. And then the 3 to 5 companies give out the price. And then the bank will check which company will report meet their requirement. Among the 5, we have someone do market price, someone do lower than market price, someone do our market price. And then the bank will check which this client, we should take our market price, low market or mid market price. So 5 companies do the same job, only 1 company will get paid. The 4 other companies cannot get paid. It happens very often. 1 time, 2 times, 3 times. And then the company, the buyer, they know that this bank, if you want to get your job paid, you have to do the market price. Or you need to do our market price. So it makes what is the standard is problem standard. Because some bank, their good client, they can give higher loan. My advice, all members of CVEA can do the valuation job for Maybank. All of us can do. But don't need to get 5 or 6 companies to do one report. Just us 3. If you get 3, and then every month you give them the valuation job 10 or 20 report, they get enough money from bank, they can survive, they will protect you. Now my company will provide the monthly service to bank from Taiwan. We call antivirus. Wire is an antivirus for the bad loan or for the bad property. We are the antivirus. Because they give us enough job, we can survive from their report, their work. So we have no reason to cheat them. As a conclusion, I suggest to bank, especially bank from Malay, and not like, I don't say I don't like Malay, okay, but most of bank from Malay, please when you have the report for the client, 3 companies is enough. It's enough. Don't play until 5 or 6 and the other company, they do the job but don't get paid, and then they feel not happy. They say, what for? The price. And you know for the client, whatever you give higher than market price, they're happy. Their property is 200,000, you say 300,000, they say thank you. Here the tip you $200. So conclusion, trust the people. You work with them, you don't trust them, no business. It's a Chinese word. Trust go first. If we trust, if we are friends, we trust each other, and then we do the business, we protect each other, we grow together. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I think, unless you guys want to stay a little bit longer and talk a bit more, hands up, no? Maybe we should, because I think it's over 2, so maybe we should wrap this up. So first of all, thank you very much to our panel. Mr. Ross, thank you for stepping in for Simon at the last minute. Mr. Hiang, thank you for your local insights and your very strong views. I think they are actually very important. Mr. Salim, your international experience and your understanding of the valuation industry. I think a few points here. Number 1, I think that it's very clear that we need to get educational institutions to deliver programs that are going to be able to provide it. And I think, in fact, for most of the education institution, it's very profitable. 300,000 students entering the educational sector in the upper levels each year. Surely a percentage of them see careers in real estate, and we've seen with over 100,000 members that are in your organization. Two, we know that the industry is moving towards more professionalism. That's being driven by the banks, that's being driven by investors, and even Mr. Stevens' company, people are going to be looking for, PPSCZ, are going to be looking for professional valuations on their properties out there. So it's moving to that direction. We know that there's a lot of work to be done, and we know that there needs to be more coordination efforts, and I think the comments that you made, Mr. Hing, about your organization and the way that they work in terms of cohesion is very, very much welcome. And we welcome, of course, expertise like RICS to come in and help institutions build their skill sets over the years. So thank you again for coming. Thank you to Olivia. Thank you to BritCham and IBC for organizing this. And please give us a round of applause.